after the age of 5
respond to the
from
union
chronic
budget
malnutrition
that was presented by the Honorable Finance Minister
36% stunted and 6% wasted.
but also to expose the grand illusion
screaming for attention.
A mirage,
and yet the budget for
deception,
PM Poshan remains
a golden deer budget.
inadequate. Proving
Well, all
once
of you
again
must be wondering
that
why
the
am I
union
referring to this
government
budget
is invested
as the golden
more
deer budget.
in headlines
The
than
2025 union
Another
budget is
half-truth.
nothing
Before the
but a
elections,
Marich moment from
the NDA
the
government
Ramayana.
or the ruling party,
An elaborate
BJP
illusion
promised
designed to deceive.
LPG cylinders for all.
Just as
But in
the
reality,
demon Marich
1.2
took the golden
crore
form of deer
households, I repeat,
to
the
lure
figure,
Ma Sita away.
1.2
The
crore
NDA
households
government
could
has
not
crafted
afford
a shiny,
even a single
dazzling
refill
budget
in 2022-23
promising prosperity while
because of
hiding
their
the
exorbitant
economic
price
catastrophe
hikes.
beneath.
This is not upliftment.
This budget might
This
shimmer,
is abandonment.
but it's
When
hollow as
people
a
have to
treasure
choose
chest
between a meal and a
filled with
refill,
air.
their
It
promises
is flashy
nothing but a
promises of
cruel
tax
joke.
cuts,
In
economic growth,
2019,
infrastructure
the
hike
cabinet
to
approved
distract the common man. But beneath this illusion lies a brutal reality.
for the census.
Hidden
Yet
indirect
in
taxes,
2005,
soaring inflation,
2025,
slash
even
public
after 5 years,
spendings,
only
and last but not the least,
570 crore has
corporate
been
giveaways.
allocated in this year's budget.
Just as Ma
5
Sita
years
was
late
misled,
and still
the
counting.
common people are being pulled
And
away
this is
from
not
financial
happening this year
stability
either.
straight
But why
into a
does this
fiscal
matter? Why
wrecking
am I
ball.
talking about census?
This government
Because
proudly
without the
proclaims
census, every
no
policy,
income tax
every
for
income
incomes up
tax
to
slab
12 lakh
revision,
rupees.
and every
But behind
economic
the scenes,
projection is
they
simply
silently
just a
ensure
blind projection
the
and a
lost
blind
revenue is
gamble.
recovered through rising fuel
The Nari
prices,
Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam,
inflated service charges,
Women Reservation
hidden
Act,
taxes on daily
which was
essentials,
passed by
and the
calling
middle
a
class,
special
much like
session
Lakshman warning Ma
18 months
Sita,
back in
is skeptical.
2023.
But BJP's
Can't be
propaganda and
implemented
PR machinery
as its rollout
is desperately working
depends on the
overtime to ensure
completion of the next census.
that the common man and the people of this country
delimitation
still
both are not
chase the golden deer
both are
anyway.
yet to be scheduled.
What is given
The
by one
government
hand
seems to prefer
is being swiftly
running the
taken
country
by the other.
on guesstimates and
Just
propaganda
as the Ramayana,
rather than real data.
just as in
because
Ramayana,
facts expose their
by the time
failures,
people realize
and they
and
would rather keep
recognize
the nation in the
the
dark.
deception,
As
the
we look
economy
at
has
the
already
economic
been handed
policies
over
of
to the Ravanas
the NDA
of
government,
crony capitalism.
one cannot help
While the common man
but see a pattern.
is left struggling to
And
afford
what is the
groceries,
pattern?
fuel, travel, healthcare,
Ma'am, the pattern is
and
of
even a simple movie night, all
But if I
while
have to
being
say,
taxed for
it
merely
resembles
just
the tale
existing.
of a reverse Robin Hood.
Madam,
What is a reverse Robin
the budget
Hood?
presented
We know
by
the story of
the
Robin Hood.
NDA government
Taking from the
is a
rich and giving to the
masterclass
poor.
in half
BJP
truths,
has mastered the art of
half
taking from the
accountability,
poor and
half
giving it to the
delivery of
wealthy
schemes,
elite.
and half-hearted
So reverse
governance.
Robin Hood.
From half-built houses under PMAY
For instance,
to
I'll give you
half-achieved
example.
farmer income targets.
For instance,
The
the waiving
government
of
continues
corporate
to sell
loans
dreams while
worth
delivering
thousands
only
of crores
fragments of reality.
using taxpayers' money.
Infrastructure
while
projects
poor
remain
farmers
half
struggling
finished,
with small debts are left to
welfare
suffer.
schemes reach
The
half the
government claims to
beneficiaries,
have no money to
and their
increase sales
economic
duties on
policies
essential
cater to half the
commodities.
population,
Yet
leaving
it
the rest in
slashes
uncertainty.
corporate tax rates.
This is not a
giving
vision for developed
billionaires
India.
and even
It's
bigger
a
slice of the
half-baked
pie.
agenda. This is not
wrapped in
economic
propaganda.
justice. This is
Make no
economic
mistake,
favoritism at its
much
worst.
like demonetization. Then I talk about
GST,
or rather I'll come
and the
to
draconian
half
farm
federalism.
laws. The full extent
all the
of
member states
devastation
in this
will
house
only
have
be
never heard
visible
of
when the
this phrase.
smoke clears. This is a phrase that I've
I'll
coined.
start with half-truths.
Half-federalism.
So the NDA
Why
government
I
in
say
Maharashtra
half-federalism?
launched the Ladki
I'll give
Behan.
you another example,
Ma'am, the
just to
NDA
understand it
government in
better.
Maharashtra
Launched the Ladki Behan
Madam, in
DBT
Bihar,
scheme for women in Maharashtra.
BJP's ally,
just before the
Janata
assembly
Dal
elections
United or JDU,
last year to use
have
it as a
12
political
seats.
bait.
Now with the elections
That means
over,
BJP has 12
they have
MPs in Bihar.
conveniently started scrutinizing
And in
beneficiaries,
Bengal,
thus removing
BJP
60
has 12
lakh
MPs
women from the scheme.
This is
BJP
yet another
is in
jumla
power in Bihar,
running deep
and
in your
BJP
veins.
is not in power in Bengal.
And people see through this
So
betrayal,
Bihar gets
and
bonanza,
they're watching.
Bengal gets blockade.
Another betrayal, ma'am.
Federalism.
Before the elections, the government
Madam,
promised a
not a
legal
single
meaningful
guarantee for
financial
MSP
allocation.
After the
has
election,
been made for the state of
the
Bengal.
promise
This
has
is a
disappeared
Bangla
without a
Birodi
trace.
budget. Madam, Finance
1.7
Minister
lakh
is here,
crore
and I'm glad she
is
is
still
present in the
due to
House.
the state of West Bengal under
She
various
in her
heads.
speech mentioned
This is a deliberate financial
that
blockade, a calculated move
and she
to
began her
stifle
speech
Bengal's
with a flourish
growth,
on agricultural
prosperity and
agricultural growth.
West Bengal's
But when
spending
it came
due
to MSP,
on Manrega,
the one demand that
to the
every
tune
farmer of this
7,000
country has
crore,
raised still remains
there was
unpaid.
only silence,
Depriving
no legal
59
guarantee,
lakh poor workers.
no relief from the
The
crippling
state
debt.
has launched Karma
Instead of
Shri
waiving
scheme
farm loans,
for providing
the
employment
government has
opportunities
increased
to job
the
card
Kisan
holders
credit
paying
limit,
51 lakh
which
workers
essentially means
from its own
handing
funds.
farmers more debt.
The central government
Than
has
relief.
not cleared
Since
8,140
8,140 crores
and whatever
in
data
housing
I'm
dues
putting
for
in the
rural
House
Bengal If the
under
chair wants, I'll
Pradhan
lay it on the
Mantri
table of the
Yojana,
House before tonight.
depriving 12 lakh
Ma'am,
beneficiaries.
since 2014,
the state
in the last
government
launch,
years,
the
there
Bangla
have been
Bari
1
project,
lakh farmer
last year in
suicide.
the month of
That's
December,
one suicide
providing
every hour.
housing to 12 lakh
These aren't just
beneficiaries
numbers.
entirely from
They're
the
a
state's
grim reminder
funds.
of a
Why am I
system
giving
that
you these
abandons
facts?
those who
Because
feed
all
the
of
nation,
you, especially
while
the
they
members sitting in
conveniently
the
feed
treasury
lies
benches,
to the entire
must
country.
know, even though you
They
have
boasted of
destroyed West
digital
Bengal,
India,
the
but
state
conveniently
continues to
ignored
stand tall
the dire state
as
of
a
our
true
schools.
testament,
While
an
flashy
example
slogans
of social media.
Atmanirbharta,
The harsh reality is
where the
PM
mind is
portion
without
remains
fear,
stagnant,
where the
leaving
head is
millions
held
of children
high,
without
without
nutritious
nutritious
food. More than
Jeta
50% of the children
while
under
the
the age
center
of
withhold
5
funds
suffer
and
from
play
chronic
politics
malnutrition.
with the people of
With
Bengal and their
17%
livelihoods.
underweight, Bengal refuses to
36%
beg.
stunted,
We build
and 6%
we provide.
wasted.
We
A
progress,
crisis,
we grow,
screaming for
with
attention,
or without
and
their
yet
support.
the budget for
Bengal
PM
has more
portion
than
remains
doubled its
dejectedly
export
inadequate
in the last 10 years,
proving once again
57 lakh
that the
new
union
MSMEs
government
have been
is
added,
invested
employing
more
over
in
1 crore
headlines
people
than hungry children.
Bengal's handloom industry,
Another half-truth
before
employs
the
over
elections,
5 lakh workers,
the NDA
which is the
government
second highest in
or
the
the
country.
ruling party,
The state's
BJP
broadband
promise,
policy,
LPG
formulated in
cylinders for all,
2020,
but
resulted
in
in
reality,
investment of
1.2
crore households
in the
I repeat
telecom
the
sector
figure.
alone. Almost 3 lakh
crore
direct
households
employment has been generated in IT companies.
Single refill in
Bengal has
2022-23
over 88 lakh
because of
MSMEs,
their
which is the
exorbitant
second
price
highest in the
hikes.
country.
This is
1
not
out of 5
upliftment.
MSME
This
are
is
owned by
abandonment,
women,
which is
when people
highest
have
in
to
the
choose
country.
between a meal and a refill,
36% of
their
workers in
promise
this
is nothing but a
enterprises
cruel
are
joke.
female. Third highest in the
2019,
country. The cabinet
Madam, now I'll come to health.
8,574
India remains one of the lowest healthcare
for the
spenders
census
globally.
Yet in 2005,
Investing
2025,
3%.
today even
of
after
its
5 years,
GDP.
far
Only
behind China's 570
5%
crore has been allocated
and
in this
United
year's
States
budget.
of America's
5 years
16%.
late, and still
For a
counting.
country
And
of
this is not
140
happening
crore
this year
people.
either.
This
But
level
why
of
does this
investment
matter? Why am I
is
talking
not
about
just inadequate.
Because
Because
without
without
a
a census,
betrayal of public
every
health
policy, the government has
every
opened
income tax slab revision
floodgates
and every
for
economic
100%
projection
FDI
is
in
simply
insurance,
just a blind
happily
projection and a
inviting
blind
foreign
gamble.
profits, but
The
refuses
Nari
to remove
Shakti
the
Bandhan
crushing
Adhiniyam,
18% GST
Women
on
Reservation
health
Act,
insurance.
which was passed
So while the
by
corporates
calling
enjoy
a
free
special
reign,
session
the common man is
18 months
taxed
back in
while they are fighting for
2023.
their own lives.
This
Can't
is
be
not
implemented.
reform. This
As
is
its
a
rollout
rigged game
depends on the
poor and the
completion
completion
of
of
the
the
next
people of the
census.
country are
And
deliberately made
subsequent
to
lose.
limitation. Both
Instead
are
of
not
strengthening
both are yet to
government
be scheduled.
hospitals, this
The
government
government seems to
prioritizes
prefer
private insurance,
running the country
models like
on
PMJAY
guesstimates and propaganda,
whose allocations
rather than real
shot
data,
up by 29%
because tax exposed their
essentially
failures,
funneling
and they would
public
rather
money
keep
into
the nation in the
corporate
dark.
pockets. Strengthening
As we look
public
at the
health
economic
care
policies
could have
of
benefited
the
millions,
NDA government,
but instead
one
government
cannot
chose
help
to privatize
but see a
healthcare
pattern under the guise of
and
what
healthcare.
is the pattern?
And if the government truly cared about public health,
Ma'am, the
why
pattern
has
is
funding
of
for mental health programs like,
or if I have to
National
say,
Tele
it
Mental
resembles
Health
the
Scheme
tale
has
of
been slashed
a
by
reverse
16%.
Robin Hood. Why is
What is a reverse Robin Hood?
Which is the
We know
country's
the story
top
of
health
Robin Hood.
mental institute taking from the rich
Facing
and giving
budget
to the
cuts.
poor. The answer
BJP
is
has
simple.
mastered the art of
the
taking
government
from the
just
poor
doesn't care
and giving it to
if
the
healthy
healthcare were a
elite.
priority.
So
This
reverse
budget
Robin
would be
Hood.
investing in real solutions, not just mere illusions.
For instance,
Under BJP
I'll give you
rule,
an example.
all of them
For instance,
combine
the waiving of
excel in
corporate
crafting
loans
headlines,
worth thousands of
but when
crores
it comes to
using
comes to
taxpayers' money,
hospitals,
while
medicines,
farmers struggling with
genuine
small
public
debts are
health
left to suffer.
investment,
The
reality
government
is
claims
nothing
to have
short
no
of an
money to
empty
increase
set.
subsidies.
Madam,
on
now I'll
essential
come to
commodities.
half
Yet it
minister.
slashes
I
corporate
spoke about
tax
half
rates,
truths, giving
I
billionaires
spoke about half
an even
federalism.
bigger slice of the pie.
Now let's talk about
this is
half
not
minister.
economic justice.
Because
This is economic
a
favoritism at
part-time
its
railway
worst.
minister is also juggling between two
Then
other
I talk
ministries.
about
One is
rather I'll
electronics
come
and
to
IT,
half federalism.
and the other one is information and
You know, all
broadcasting.
the members sitting in this house
running
have
the
never heard of this
running
place.
the Indian Railways
This is a
is
phrase that I
considered
coined.
as a lifeline for
federalism.
millions.
Why
It's
I
not a
say half
side gig,
federalism?
I'll give you
But
another
under
example
BJP,
just to understand it
governance
better.
has become a multitasking circus,
Madam,
delivering
in
half-baked
Bihar,
results everywhere.
BJP's
Why I
ally,
say this?
Janata
Because
Dal
from the-
United or
from the time
JDU
this government came
have
in,
12 seats.
They have discontinued the railway budget.
That means
What they
BJP
have
has
done for
12
safety
MPs in Bihar.
How many kilometers
And
have
in
been
Bengal,
covered under Kavach?
BJP has 12
Between
MPs.
2015 to 2024,
BJP
there
is
has
in
been
power in
678
Bihar, and BJP is
railway
not in power in
accidents,
Bengal.
where more than
So Bihar gets
780 64 people have
Bengal
lost
is
their
blocking.
lives,
This is
leaving more than 2,000 injured. No wonder tracks
Madam,
are
not a
crumbling.
single meaningful
The tech
financial
sector is
allocation
struggling, and the
has
media
been made for the state of
is
Bengal. This is a
drowning
Bangla
in
Birodhi
propaganda.
budget.
Then, ma'am, I come to
1.7 lakh crore
answers.
is still due to the
I
state
can
of
ask
West
50
Bengal under
questions,
various
100
heads.
questions to the government.
This is a
But
deliberate
let me ask
financial
only
blockade,
5.
a calculated
Why
move
did you
to
promise
stifle
the
Bengal's
people of this
growth,
country a $5
prosperity
trillion
and development?
economy
West Bengal
by
spending due
2025?
on Manrega
today,
to the
in the
tune
month of
of
February.
7,000 crore
And looking
still
at-
remains unpaid,
looking at
depriving
the rate
59
India is
lakh
growing,
poor workers.
that
The
goal
state has
will not
launched
be-
Karma
not even
Shri
be achieved
scheme
by
for
2037,
providing
forget about
employment
2025.
opportunities to job card holders, paying 51
Why
lakh
did you
workers from
slash
its
funds
own
for funds?
LPG collection,
The
LPG
central
connection to
government
poor
has not
households.
cleared 8,140 crores in housing dues for rural Bengal under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, depriving 12 lakh beneficiaries. The state government launched the Bangla TV project last year in the month of December, providing housing to 12 lakh beneficiaries entirely from the state's own funds. Why am I giving you these facts? Because all of you, especially the members sitting in the treasury benches, must know, even though you have deprived West Bengal, the state continues to stand tall as a true testament, an example of Atma Nirbharata, where the mind is without fear, where the head is held high. Chitto jeta bhoy shunno, uchcho jeta shir. While the center withhold funds and play politics with the people of Bengal and their livelihoods, Bengal refuses to beg. We build, we provide, we progress, we grow with or without their support. Bengal has more than doubled its export in the last 10 years. 57 lakh new MSMEs have been added, employing over 1 crore people. Bengal's handloom industry employs over 5 lakh workers, which is the second highest in the country. The state's broadband policy, formulated in 2020, resulted in investment of 7,500 crore in the telecom sector alone. Almost 3 lakh direct employment has been generated in IT companies. Bengal has over 88 lakh MSMEs, which is the second highest in the country. 1 out of 5 MSME are owned by women, which is highest in the country. 36% of workers in these enterprises are female, third highest in the country. Madam, now I'll come to health. India remains one of the lowest healthcare spenders globally, investing a mere 3% of its GDP, far behind China's 5% and United States of America's 16%. For a country of 140 crore people, this level of investment is not just inadequate, it's an outright betrayal of public health. The government has opened floodgates for 100% FDI in insurance, happily inviting foreign profits, but refuses to remove the crushing 18% GST on health insurance. So while the corporates enjoy free rein, the common man is taxed while they are fighting for their own lives. This is not reform. This is a rigged game where the poor and the downtrodden and the common people of the country are deliberately made to lose. Instead of strengthening government hospitals, this government prioritizes private insurance. Models like PMJAY, whose allocations shot up by 29%, essentially funneling public money into corporate pockets. Strengthening public health care could have benefited millions, but instead government chose to privatize healthcare under the guise of welfare. And if the government truly cared about public health, why has funding for mental health programs like National Tele-Mental Health Scheme has been slashed by 16%? Why is NIMHANS, which is the country's top health mental institute, facing budget cuts? The answer is simple. The government just doesn't care. If healthcare were a priority, this budget would be investing in real solutions, not just mere illusions. Under BJP rule, all of them combined, they excel in crafting headlines. But when it comes to hospitals, medicines, genuine public health investment, the reality is nothing short of an empty set. Madam, now I'll come to half minister. I spoke about half truths. I spoke about half federalism. Now let's talk about half minister. Because our part-time railway minister is also juggling between 2 other ministries. One is electronics and IT, and the other one is information and broadcasting. Running the Indian Railways, which is considered as a lifeline for millions, is not a side gig, madam. But under BJP, governance has become a multitasking circus, delivering half-baked results everywhere. Why I say this? Because from the time this government came in, they have discontinued the railway budget. What they have done for safety, how many kilometers have been covered under Kavach? Between 2015 to 2024, there has been 678 consequential railway accidents, where more than 784 people have lost their lives, leaving more than 2,000 injured. No wonder tracks are crumbling, the tech sector is struggling, and the media is drowning in propaganda. Then, ma'am, I come to half-baked answers. I can ask 50 questions or 100 questions to the government, but let me ask only 5. Why did you promise the people of this country a $5 trillion economy by 2025? We are in 2025 today, in the month of February. And looking at the rate India is growing, that goal will not even be achieved by 2037. Forget about 2025. Why did you slash funds for LPG connection to poor households by 30% over revised estimates? Why have you slashed funds for crop insurance scheme by 25% over revised estimates? Why has the Data Protection Board of India given only 5 crore rupees when the cost of running Parliament for a single day is more than 9 crore rupees? Why has the budget allocation for minority affairs have been slashed by 57%, decreasing significantly from 1,575 crores in 24-25 to 678 crores in 25-26? These are hard facts. These are data. Ma'am, now I come to half accountability. After half truths, after half federalism, after half minister, after half-baked answers, I come to half accountability. A government is expected to be 100% accountable. But this coalition government believes in half accountability. You all must be wondering, where is the other 50%? Well, that's conveniently covered by the Godi media. Because if you ask the media, according to them, this government is working 200%, is functioning at 200% efficiency. And in their world, in the media's world, there are no failures. Failures are invisible. Questions are forbidden. The only policy is propaganda. Ma'am, let me make just two quick points to prove their half accountability. In price rise, the food inflation in 2024 averaged at 8%. In October, food inflation was at 14-month high. The bottom 5% spends 66 rupees a day, while the cost of 2 veg thalis exceeds 150 rupees. Household savings have dipped to a 50-year low. In case of unemployment, youth unemployment is at a staggering 45%. 3 out of 10 graduates today are unemployed. Under PMKVY, only 18% of the trained candidates were placed. Over 90% of the workforce employed in the informal sector lack job security and benefits. Madam, now I'll come to half delivery. Now let me present before you a few examples of half delivered services. Time and again, this government has misled the people, making tall claims, but has failed to deliver where it truly matters. I'll start with Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Launched with much hype and fanfare to promote girl child education and welfare, yet over 80% of the scheme's budget was spent on publicity rather than spending it on the actual benefit for girls. Then I come to Jan Dhan Yojana, bank accounts without bank services. Under the Jan Dhan Yojana, 54.66 crore, that means 50 crore, 54 crore, 66 lakh accounts were opened. But 11 crore, 58 lakh accounts remains inoperative. And out of this 54 crore accounts, 33 crore, 67 lakh accounts have balance less than 1,000 rupees. This is a perfect example of financial inclusion in paper, but financial struggle in reality. Ma'am, they spoke about doubling farmers' income, a forgotten promise. They promised to double the farmers' income by 2022. We are in 2025. But today, farmers are drowning in debt, facing stagnant crop prices, rising input costs, and no legal MSP guarantee. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana benefit insurance companies more than the farmers. Smart Cities mission, hype versus reality. They promised over 100 smart cities, but most projects today remain on paper or are rather incomplete. Basic infrastructure in many towns are crumbling, while funds remain underutilized or diverted to beautification projects. They spoke about making in India. That means they spoke about revolutionizing the manufacturing industry. But what is the reality and truth of Make in India? More imports, less manufacturing. Local industry today struggles under the rising imports from China, inconsistent policies, and low capital investment. Instead of boosting domestic production, India's trade deficit with China has skyrocketed over the years. Unemployment, they promised about 2 crore jobs every year. But in reality, unemployment remains at a 45-year high. They promised houses for all by 2022, yet another broken promise. In 2015, a promise was made to provide every household a home by 2022. 3 years later, in 2025, as the deadline passed, millions still await promised homes, highlighting delays and unmet expectations. Pattern, if you look at the pattern, big announcement and half execution, or rather zero execution. From infrastructure to education, health to employment, BJP's governance is a pattern of half delivery. Grand promises, incomplete execution, and shifting blame when failures are exposed. This budget is like when I went through the budget, I was here when Madam Finance Minister presented the budget, but later I went through the budget document. Ma'am, all I realized is this budget is like those promises where you promise free meals, but charges exorbitantly for, giving a chair to sit, free water, service. So this budget is like a buffet that promises free meal, but charges exorbitantly for water, service, and cutlery. While taxpayers find momentary relief in minor reduction in income tax slabs, the government swiftly offsets these benefits through indirect taxes on fuel, essential commodities, rising road tolls, and higher consumer good prices driven by the increased GST rates. It's evident that these reliefs are nothing more than a mere illusion. Much like the Jio's once free data plans, attracting millions of users at a time, and then they raise the tariff sharply, which now comes monthly at a hefty price tag. The government claims to provide relief, but the reality for the middle class tells a different story. Let me give you another small example, and these are real examples. The government claims of an 80,000 tax benefit for an individual whose income is 12 lakh rupees annually. But it's nothing but a misleading farce. They thumb their chest about relief while simultaneously bleeding the common taxpayer dry through GST and unchecked inflation. A taxpayer in this income bracket, that means someone who is earning 12 lakh rupees annually, spends on essential categories like food, housing, education, healthcare, railway travel, air travel, transport, recreation, and each of these are subjected to steep GST rates under NDA's failed economic policies. The result, if you do a quick calculation, you will see that someone earning 12 lakh rupees ends up inadvertently paying 98,000 in GST. So the illusion of 80,000 tax benefit that BJP is desperately trying to sell, in reality is snatched away from GST alone. That means someone earning 12 lakh rupees is inadvertently having to pay 98,000 rupees on the account of GST alone. Then you have surcharges, you have cess, you have toll tax, you have many other tax. You have STT, security tax. And why I talk about GST? Because whatever one required to exist, madam, from medicines to tea, from toiletries to toothpaste, from hair oil to cooking oil, from fuel to oxygen cylinders, from rice to sugar, from butter to ghee, from undergarments to footwear, from biscuits to even popcorn at the movies, everything is taxed. In fact, more is lost to GST than they claim to give back. To make matters worse, there are several other taxes like I mentioned. There is toll tax, there are security transaction tax, there are cesses, there are surcharges, and then there's inflation also, which continues to erode whatever little remains. With an average 6% annual inflation, if someone is earning 12 lakh rupees today, that will shrink down to 10 lakh in 3 years. The only thing that is not taxed, or is rather untouched, is BJP's list of misleading promises and their sheer incompetence. That's only untaxed. The budget remains completely failure, and the budget also reminds me from a scene from a popular movie of Three Idiots. All of us have seen the movie. It went very popular. And throughout caste, creed, and religion, everyone loved the movie. So, ma'am, the budget reminds me of the movie Three Idiots, where Amir Khan's character, Rancho, exposes the education system's obsession with rote learning over genuine understanding. Similarly, today's government reminds me of the deceptive college director virus. And the role of virus was played by, I'm not talking about the viruses present here, I'm talking about the college director virus whose role was played by Boman Irani. So the college director virus, what he used to do? He used to offer flashy numbers, grand schemes that prioritized ranking over real progress. Much like virus, the focus seems to be on the surface level over real achievements, presenting a polished image rather than addressing the true needs of the people. Or if we take a page from the history, the British during the colonial rule, they promised reforms while continuing to exploit India's resources. BJP's budget follows the same playbook, advertising tax relief while ensuring the burden is transferred through hidden economic policies that favor big corporations and the elite, leaving small businesses and working class struggling. Madam, the budget presented over the last 1 decade perfectly sums up India and the BJP's version of Achhe Din, reflecting not just their grand narrative, but also the harsh reality of common people's struggle under the NDA's rule and regime. If I'm a citizen of India, I have to pay tax on the money I earn. If I'm a citizen of India, I have to pay tax on the money I spend. I'm a citizen of India, I have to pay tax on the things I buy, I have to pay tax on the things I sell. And moreover, pay tax on things that are already taxed, bought with money that is already taxed.
Correct.
Just imagine, you earn, you pay tax. You spend, you pay tax. You buy, you pay tax. You sell, you pay tax. And then you pay tax on things those are already taxed from the money that is already taxed. This sums up the budget completely. The people of India have woken up, and they will no longer be misled by these empty promises and false claims. The government must pay attention to the aspirations of 140 crore citizens. If they don't, they should brace themselves. What started as a teaser in June 2024 will soon become a full-blown blockbuster. After all, the saying goes, never underestimate the power of the common man. And they are all, every Indian who's watching this, who has seen the budget, who has voted in 24 and is going to vote again, exercise their franchise, they are far better scriptwriters than the BJP members of this house. India now sees the truth clearly. BJP stands for Bhashan, Jumla and Propaganda, where speeches replaces real action. And NDA stands for, well, no prize for guessing, not delivering anything. Thank you, Madam. Jai Hind. Honorable Chairperson, Ma'am, and esteemed members of this august House, today I rise here not just to respond to the union budget that was presented by the Honourable Finance Minister for the year 2025-26, but also to expose the grand illusion it weaves. A mirage, a deception, or rather a golden deer budget. Well, all of you must be wondering, why am I referring to this budget as the golden deer budget? The 2025 union budget is nothing but a Marich moment from the Ramayana, an elaborate illusion designed to deceive. Just as the demon Marich took the golden form of deer to lure Ma Sita away, the NDA government has crafted a shiny, dazzling budget promising prosperity while hiding the economic catastrophe beneath. This budget might shimmer, but it's hollow as a treasure chest filled with air. It has flashy promises of tax cuts, economic growth, infrastructure hype to distract the common man, but beneath this illusion lies a brutal reality. Hidden indirect taxes, soaring inflation, slashed public spendings, and last but not the least, corporate giveaways. Just as Ma Sita was misled, the common people are being pulled away from financial stability straight into a fiscal wrecking ball. This government proudly proclaims no income tax for incomes up to 12 lakh rupees. But behind the scenes, they silently ensure the lost revenue is recovered through rising fuel prices, inflated service charges, hidden taxes on daily essentials, and the middle class, much like Lakshman warning Ma Sita, is skeptical, but BJP's propaganda and PR machinery is desperately working overtime to ensure that the common man and the people of this country still chase the golden deer anyway. What is given by one hand is being swiftly taken by the other. Just as in Ramayana, by the time people realize and recognize the deception, the economy has already been handed over to the Ravanas of crony capitalism. While the common man is left struggling to afford groceries, fuel, travel, healthcare, and even a simple movie night, all while being taxed for merely just existing. Madam, the budget presented by the NDA government is a masterclass in half-truths, half accountability, half delivery of schemes, and half-hearted governance. From half-built houses under PMAY to half-achieved farmer income targets, the government continues to sell dreams while delivering only fragments of reality. Infrastructure projects remain half-finished, welfare schemes reach half the beneficiaries, and their failed economic policies cater to half the population, leaving the rest in uncertainty. This is not a vision for developed India. It's a half-baked agenda wrapped in propaganda. Make no mistake, much like demonetization, GST, and the draconian farm laws, the full extent of devastation will only be visible when the smoke clears. I'll start with half-truths.